Hello, my loves. Hello, beautiful women. So, on day 5 of Circle Skills, and today we're diving into intentional sharing and listening. So, we've been exploring various, I'm calling them skills because they're things that we can learn and deepen into. And that role, that journey as a circle holder is really a journey into deepening into those. So, each circle you hold, you will learn a little bit more about yourself and you will enhance your capacity for each of these skills. So I hope what you're discovering on these days is we are also traveling on a journey through these skills and how they build on each other. So for those of you who are new to my page, welcome. My name is Mitlay Southey and I'm a circle holder and intuitive guide and founder of Circle School. And I'm on a mission to help as many women as possible experience the transformative power of circles. And a big part of that is mentoring women through Circle School as circle holders. I truly believe that if you have the calling, the yearning to hold circles, then you can do so. It's a remembering, a reclaiming of that role. But it's also really important to me that those of us who are holding circles have the skills and the capacity to do so and understand the responsibility that comes with that role, especially when we're holding these for our communities as part of our business and we want to hold truly transformative and powerful circles. And every time we gather women together, every time we gather women around, then we will deepen into that capacity and enhance that journey, that experience for the women that we're sitting with. And on my own journey as a circle holder, this is beginning to expand into more and different spaces, corporate spaces, working with lots of different types of people. So this is your invitation to explore the skills that you have and how you can deepen into those. So today we're talking about intentional sharing and listening. So just taking a moment, as always, just to cross the threshold with me into this time and space. Just taking a few deep breaths, breathing in through your nose, gently out through your mouth, and in through your nose, and gently out through your mouth, and in through your nose, and out with a sigh. And as always, we set an intention to create a safe and sacred container between us, trusting that all that comes through will serve us and the greater whole. And gently blinking open your eyes. Welcome. So, what I mean by intentional sharing, when you're holding space for others, when you're holding a circle, a big element of circles is often sharing, not in all circles, but in the circles that I hold. The sharing is perhaps the most potent and the most transformative part of circle. It is often the first time that some women have ever experienced the opportunity to speak without being interrupted or overridden. And for those who attend many circles, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to really deepen into what we want to share. So on, I can't remember, it was day 2 or day 3, we talked about our guidelines. And this is where you'll recognize that the guidelines are so powerful because we give ourselves the scaffolding, the container with which we can share ourselves within. So we understand using our discernment in choosing what to share. It's not about sharing everything or anything that you don't want to share. And so as the circle holder, we get to guide that in terms of requiring, requesting, asking for intentional sharing. So the ways that we can do that are firstly through those guidelines, asking women to use their discernment and take responsibility for the energy that they're bringing and what they wish to share, but also by asking questions, by providing a theme, by giving an example of what it is that you're asking women to share. So there are various tools and techniques that we can use, but remembering that sharing in circle isn't a conversation in the same way we would have a conversation. It is an opportunity for each woman to be held in that space and to share whatever is coming through. So I often recommend a structure of sharing where your opening sharing is quite short and to the point. It's an opportunity for that woman to call herself present. It may be an opportunity for her to share her name and what called her to circle. If you've created a centerpiece or an altar together, or if you're using oracle cards, or you've pulled a crystal, or whatever tools you're using within your space, it may be an opportunity for her to share that. So it's really an opportunity to practice using our voices, to add our voice to the circle, so that we all get to hear and see each other in that first round of sharing. It's a way of calling ourselves present, bringing our energy into the space. And then depending on what practices you go through, how your circle is being woven together, there will likely to be a couple of rounds of what I call deeper sharing. So again, this can be led by a very intentional question. If you have a theme, it may be a very specific question around that theme, not as in, I don't mean a specific question as in a yes, no, not a closed question, an open question that invites reflection, that invites self-inquiry, that invites us to sit with that and really share what is at our core, what is at our depth, what is coming through for us. If it's a closed group, and the women know each other very well, you'll notice that over time, each time you gather, that depth of sharing gets deeper because the level of intimacy between you will sharpen, you'll get closer. Another technique is what we call a purge in the sister mind. So if it's a releasing circle or a full moon circle, you may just invite the women to just purge, share everything that's going on for them in the moment, just like clear their minds of the daily stuff that's there. That could be the mundane, or it could be the mystical, it could be pain, it could be joy. And in effect, you give each other a time. You actually can time it. So we just fill that space. So there's no worrying about, am I taking up too much space? Am I taking up too much time? Oh, I should probably stop talking. You know that you have an amount of time and you can just, go for it. And it can be incredibly therapeutic, because when you've finished, and we're going to talk about intentional listening, when you've finished, there's no one's going to offer you an opinion. They'll tell you that it's good or bad or right or wrong. So it's an immensely powerful way just to kind of have an inner cleanse of any mental clutter that you've brought to circle with you. Hello, beautiful Amy. How are you? And Kate, thank you so much for joining me. Samantha, thank you for being here. Amy, I love those purges. Yes, they've become quite a steadfast part of our circles in the sister mind, our full moon circles in particular. So then after we've had that longer share, your final share of circle, and you don't only have to have 3, but this is quite a useful structure if you've got a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours for your circle, is once again to ask that intentional question to close the sharing. So that may be a question of reflection of their experience in circle. It may be to take a moment and offer what they wish to say thank you for, not necessarily in the circle. It may be just to leave them on that beautiful note of gratitude, of thankfulness for what they have in their lives. Especially if it's been a very deep dive into the shadow or a deeply emotional circle, to be able to offer a space at the end for sharing on gratitude or joy. It may be something that they've loved about their circle experience. So often I'm holding circles for women who have never been to circle before. So asking them what they loved or what they learned can really help just to bring them back to the present moment before they leave and integrate that experience. So that's just a really general, I was going to say broad, but a really general overview of intentional sharing. It is this beautiful mix of self-responsibility and discernment, and also being guided by you as the circle holder with intentional questions, by providing the scaffolding and the container and being really explicit on what is expected of women within that space. Because circle sharing and circle isn't a conversation, you may have reflection, you may open up time for reflection, but again, be very clear on the parameters and remember that not everybody is good at giving reflection, and there's a fine line between reflection and moving into advice. So this is, these are things that you kind of learn on the job, so to speak. You'll learn how to hold that space and how to navigate that as you go. But those are some ideas when you're planning your circle. I like to call what we're then doing, if it's not you sharing, those of us who are listening and being present, for me that is, archetypally, I guess, is the role of the sacred witness. And so in Circle School, we look at 7 shadow archetypes that we can tip into as circle holders. And it's all on a running scale. It's not about perfectionism or being a particular type of person. But the space that we're holding is for us and the other women who've joined us in Circle to step into that role of sacred witness. And so I was just scribbling some notes this morning about, what do I mean by that? It's a term I use so often. But it's for each of us to come to that place of deep and present listening. So we are fully present to that person who's sharing, to the woman who is sharing. we disengage or we drop out of our minds and really tune in to whoever is sharing. So we're not running through all the things we had to do before we got there. We're not making lists of what we have to do afterwards. We're not thinking about how we're going to respond. And I'm going to come back to that, because that's, when we're having a conversation, so often we're jumping the gun. We're already thinking about what we're going to say. So really dropping out of that and just being fully present with what is being said, and not just the words that are being used, but the energy. And I'm not talking about reading body language. It's more that presence, being energetically present, physically present, emotionally present. Really tuning in, giving that person your full attention, listening with empathy, listening with compassion, and listening with unconditional love. And these words are so easy for us to use, but when we come to circle, we start to really deepen our understanding of what that means. So as I said, it's not about listening and running through your values or your belief system or thinking about how you're going to respond. We're not there to advise or to fix or to heal or to save. And this is quite unusual. When we first start doing this in circle, it may be the first time that you haven't felt, there's no expectation on you to respond in a way with advice or judgment or platitudes or sympathy or any of the other wonderful things that we try to disengage from within that circle space. There's also no requirement for us to agree or disagree with the person who's sharing. We don't need to do that. We don't need to approve or disapprove of what they're sharing. We're not judging it as good or bad or right or wrong. We're cultivating a space that can hold opposing views, that can hold different perspectives, that can hold differing life experiences. And this is one of the things that I think is so powerful about the circle experience when we take that out into our lives, into our world, when we're interacting within our communities, with our institutions, at work, through our business, with our family. The more we can disengage from our own belief system in a way, in order to really hear what the other person is saying, then we start to open up beautiful channels of communication. So it's an incredible way to practice truly listening. And coming to that place where we can accept that what that other person is saying is true for them. It doesn't have to be true for us. It is their reality and their perspective. And just a little note on that as well. When I'm talking about sharing in circle, we're not going down that line of projecting onto other people and saying, this is my truth. We're talking about sharing from our own lived experience, how we're feeling, the emotions that we may be experiencing, the grief we may be experiencing, the joy that we may be experiencing. So again, we're not projecting onto one another, but we are allowed to share what we are experiencing, what is true for us. So I hope that makes sense, that difference. Sometimes you'll see or hear, it's my truth, so I have a right to say it. But in the circle space, we're holding a place for your actual truth, for what's true for you in that moment, as opposed to using it as an excuse to project. Okay. And just a reminder that one of the reasons why this is so important and why your role as a circle holder is of so much value is because we all as humans need love. We need loving support in order to thrive. And that opportunity to be seen and heard and witnessed, for those of you who've sat in many circles will know that. And for those of you who are new to circle, when you experience that, I guess, because that's my experience, I'm not projecting onto you, but I have a feeling that will be this moment of, oh my gosh, because there is something so powerful in being witnessed, not having to justify yourself, not having to fend off criticism, not having to respond to advice, not having to make the other person feel better because they don't know what to do with you, and not having to listen to platitudes that are of no actual help. So circle gives us that opportunity. It also gives us the opportunity to go within, to really go within to that part of us that has our innate wisdom, that part of us that is unshakable, and tune into what it is that we wish to share, the energy that we wish to bring to that space, using our discernment throughout. And we also get to connect with every other woman in that circle. So it's this beautiful process of connecting within and connecting without. And as always, each of us is part of a greater whole. And that is what circle shows us in so many ways. So if you have any questions, if you're here with me, thank you so much. Hello, is it Jocelyn? I want to make sure I'm saying that right, or is it Jacqueline? I must check with you. Thank you. And beautiful Swapna, how are you, my darling? So I'm just checking my notes. I think that's all I wanted to share with you today. So intentional sharing and listening. So intentional sharing as the circle holder is how you guide that sharing process. Offering scaffolding, giving a container, using intentional questions for women to respond to, thinking carefully. It's not, this may be a technique in some circles and it can be effective, but what we want to do, remembering your time constraints, remembering the theme of the circle, going back to your intention and meaningful purpose, is to provide that scaffolding, to provide those guidelines, to provide those expectations around sharing so that it is most potent and effective for all. And then in terms of intentional listening, this is a learning curve for all of us. So being fully present, leading by example, understanding that we're listening without agenda. We're listening. I always say that when I come into circle, my intention through every circle is to see the magnificence in every woman who is there. And if you listen through that lens, it's a really incredible experience. So think about that. What is your intention? And listen through that lens and invite the women in circle to do the same with you. And we start to find a way where we're really hearing one another, where we're really in the energy of seeing each other as a sacred witness and being witnessed. So it's a very, very, very potent part of circles. And as I said at the beginning, obviously this is like a broad overview. There's so much to each of those, and we go much more into detail in Circle School and the holding space immersion. So that's all I have for you. I'm speaking really fast as I'm trying to keep these videos short and sweet for those who are catching the replays. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. Holding Space Immersion starts on Monday, so if you want to jump in now, it's just $97. That'll give you time to catch up on everything that's already in there and then join the live round. And Circle School starts on September the 30th, and it's going to be amazing. And if you wish to do Circle School, the Holding Space Immersion is a prerequisite, so it's already included. Have a beautiful day, beautiful evening, whatever you're doing, and I hope that you get an opportunity to practice listening without agenda and just seeing how that feels. All right, my loves, I will see you for day 6, which I think I skipped today, so I'll do day 6 later today. I'll move time in order to catch up. Amy, loving the videos. Thank you, beautiful woman. All right, I'll see you all soon. Have a fabulous afternoon, day, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I cannot wait to sit in circle with you. Mwah.